Hello, friends. So today I'm with Swapna Anthur. Swapna ji is a estate planning attorney, and she'll be coming to Wealth Summit. Once again, that is on November 16th this year. It's on Sunday. So if you haven't registered, just go to sanjeevcpa.com and register for the summit right away. But Swapna ji obviously going to talk in a great detail about estate planning at the summit. But Swapna ji, a lot of people these days try to do estate plan on their own, or they use some sort of templates. And then these days we have a lot of AI tools that people try to use. I'm just curious, are those options somewhat okay, or there are some risk involved with those things?
There is definitely risk involved with this. That's not something that anybody can recommend. The problem is when you use templates or other kind of resources rather than hiring a lawyer to address your specific situation, things can go wrong. There could be a situation where your estate plan is not tailor-made to you to suit your needs. And there could be a situation when after you pass away, the trust ends up going into litigation by your beneficiaries. So that's not necessarily a good idea. So it's always a good idea to talk to a lawyer, make sure you tailor your goals and plans to your estate planning.
And I ask that because more and more I'm seeing, for example, insurance agents pretending to be estate planning specialist and offering estate planning services, which is completely out of their domain. By the way, I know majority of people don't do that. Some do. That's why I'm bringing that up, because that can be very dangerous.
It could be very dangerous. They're not supposed to do estate planning, and unless they have a friend or a contact who can help you with that, or who's a practicing estate planning attorney. So that's not at all recommended. There could be numerous risks involved.
But just give me an idea. Let's just say, for example, somebody gets an estate plan done, or maybe they use a template, or maybe they got fooled by some insurance agent into it, whichever way you want to put it, and they did something wrong. How costly those mistakes would be?
They will end up paying tens of thousands of dollars. In order to, probably you'll have to litigate the issue or redo all the estate planning, which is also going to cost you a lot of money. So be careful what you're doing. This is your assets, your beneficiaries, your future, your legacy you're leaving behind. So make sure you do it in good hands.
Okay, so certainly extremely expensive, sounds like.
Yes.
Right? Now, is it different when it comes down to estate planning? For example, people have assets in different states. Right. And you're here in California.
Yeah.
How does that work out? Like, let's say somebody had a property in Nevada, somebody had a property in Texas. Would they have to get like 2-3 different estate plans, or how would that work?
Not necessarily. So what you do is, if you're a resident of California, for example, you create your California estate planning and then make sure all your out-of-state assets are funded into this California estate planning.
Okay.
That's completely doable.
Okay. And what happens if, let's say, that person moves out of state? So maybe today they built an estate plan in state of California, and maybe next year they become resident of Florida, for example. So do they have to get the estate plan done again, or the...
It depends. So the laws of different states are slightly different. So it might be a good idea for you, if you're moving to a different state, to contact a local estate planning attorney there and make sure there is nothing more you need to do in order to make it consistent with your state law.
So there could be some compliance issues, basically.
Probably, yeah.
Right? But again, since we're talking about mistakes, let's just say if somebody doesn't do that, because that's a common scenario I can imagine, right?
Yeah.
Somebody moves out of the state, maybe they got a estate plan done 15 years ago, they never really looked at it, it's been, they just think that it's done. And by the way, a lot of people typically get their estate plan done when they're in their when they start to accumulate wealth, and they learn about estate plan, and then they forget about it. And next thing we know is they are retiring, and that estate plan is just sitting in some drawer that was done 20 years ago. What's your take on that, or what should people do in
I would recommend that even if you create your estate plan, make sure all your assets are funded into the trust. That's number one. And after that, every 3-4 years, take a look at your estate planning. There might be something that has changed. You want to make sure everything is consistent with your goals. So make sure if there is anything that you need to change, any amendments that you need to do, we can do that. Make sure you don't just do it and put it in your locker. Just make sure it's a working document. You make sure you fund everything into the trust, and also make sure every 3-4 years, take a look at it. If anything you need to change, contact your lawyer for making an appointment and doing an amendment.
So review it basically
Yes.
every now and then.
Periodically.
Got you. What about kids? So for example, once again, I'll go back to, you set up a estate plan when you're in your 40s. Now, by the time you're in 60s, those kids have grown up.
Yes.
Does that make a change to an estate plan?
Most likely, because let's say your kids are now no longer minor. When you created it, they were minors. And let's say they are like 20, 25 or something. You may want to probably revise your estate planning and make sure they are named as the beneficiary or healthcare agent or a financial agent on all your documents. So they can also make decisions for you or handle the estate plan or manage your trust. So you don't necessarily need to have your friend or your faraway relative in India to be a trustee, because you have your children who can take care of it themselves. So maybe that's a time you should be revisiting your estate plan, probably amend your document and make them a successor trustee instead of the other people, unless you're not very sure about it. But it's always a good idea to revisit the estate plan once your children are adults.
Okay, so I think that's another common place where people probably make a lot of mistakes. Now, obviously, one of the main reasons we get an estate plan done, and by the way, just so you guys know, Swapna ji will be at the Wealth Summit the entire day, from 8 a.m. in the morning till 8 p.m. And you can ask all your questions that day. Obviously, not a legal advice, but you can ask her generic questions about your estate plan. So if there's something that you want to know that I'm not, because I can't read your mind, I haven't really mastered that skill set just yet, working on it. But as of today, I can't. So I don't know what questions you might have, but I would strongly urge you to bring those questions for her and her team at the Wealth Summit. They are a professional law firm. They've been around for a very long time. She used to have an office right next to us here in Fremont. By the way, where is your office these days?
Right now we are in California Street, it's Suite 202. We are still in Fremont.
Okay, so still in Fremont on California Street. Although for us, we don't have to worry about our office because when we call her, she just magically shows up. So lucky for us. But she is right here, still in Fremont on California Street. So you can always call her. What's your office number? And I think if I remember correctly, I think Anthur Law Firm was your website.
AnthurLawGroup.com.
Law group. Oh, see, look, not a firm anymore, just a group. So you can obviously certainly reach out to her directly, but she'll be at the Wealth Summit the entire day, so you can ask her all your questions there. Because I know right now there are few things that I'm hearing in my consultation calls. One of the issues I'm hearing from people is, hey, what happens to my estate when I move out of the country? If I have to go back to India, should I put it in a estate or should I not put it in a estate? What do you recommend?
Most likely, let's say if you are moving to India, most likely there is a good chance that you will be leaving assets behind. In that event, it's still important to do your estate planning so you can make sure somebody is there you can nominate successor trustees, so somebody is there to manage the trust when you are no longer there. So if you have assets in US, do your estate planning.
And sometimes let's just say somebody have an estate plan, whether it's done through you or somebody else,
yes,
and they do go back to, let's say, India, and something bad happens to them. Now, what happens to that estate here in the United States?
So the assets that are here, and if it's already in the trust, then the successor trustees that they have nominated, they'll be able to manage the trust and pass it on to their beneficiaries according to their wishes.
Okay, so fairly straightforward, don't have to go to court or anything like that.
Exactly.
Now, what happens if they don't have a trust, for example? Then what happens?
That could be a real issue, because then you need somebody else to start a probate case here for the assets you have left behind in this country. So it could be a friend or any kind of, if you had a family member here, they can also do that for you. But it's going to be a little challenging because you probably lost a little bit of connection once you moved out of this country. It's always important that you set up your estate plan so these kind of situations do not occur.
Got you. So basically, even if you're not going back to your home country or wherever else you might be migrating to, still important to do a trust here in the United States, correct?
Yes,
and
exactly.
And this brings me up another interesting one, because let's say if you're not in the United States, now which state you built the trust in, is that even relevant at this point? Because technically you don't live here anymore.
Right. Assets are here. So you can still have your trust.
I know, but I'm just saying, because they're not resident of California anymore. So should this trust be built in California or Texas or Nevada?
It doesn't matter. You can, wherever you have been last residing, you can.
Okay, so wherever.
That's where you can set up your trust. And if you have to go back, that's fine.
Okay, so good. So you see, there's like so much we can get out of her because there's so many mistakes people make. And, if you're getting your advice from some template or some person who doesn't, who's not a lawyer and pretending to be an estate planning professional, that's a problem. Look, other tax professionals, we do estate planning, but we do it from a tax point of view. We look at it from how do we distribute these funds to your, wherever you want those funds to go to in the most tax efficient manner. But we cannot draft the documents for you. We cannot tell you, this is how you should do it. For all that stuff, you go to a professional attorney. Such an important task. And oftentimes, in matter of fact, if you are in California, most of you guys probably have some sort of legal insurance. And I'm assuming, Swapna, you probably take some legal insurance, right?
Yeah, MetLife.
MetLife, okay, so hopefully a lot of you guys have MetLife. And if you have MetLife, you can use that and get all of your questions answered from an attorney. There's no reason for you to do it any other way. So she gave us information about if we have assets in different states. She told us what happens if we need to leave the country, what happens if our kids grow up. Sometimes there are medical issues as well, Sapnaji, right? They also have an impact on the state, right?
Not on that in particular, but you set up other documents called the Advanced Healthcare Directive and HIPAA in order to address situations if you're incapacitated, who makes decisions for you? Whether you want to be on life support, whether you want to donate organs, what kind of, how do you want to be, whether you want cremation or burial. So all that things can be addressed through this document. So that's also part of the estate planning package.
Yeah, so it would be a really good idea if you work with an estate planning attorney who can work with your tax professional. I think together they can make a great team and provide you a little bit more comprehensive service, like how the entire picture plays out. And some of you guys, especially if you're a business owner, very important, right, Sapnaji? Because
Exactly.
as a business owner, they might have a C Corp, an S Corp, an LLC, multiple state entities. They might have multiple businesses, maybe even partnership. Becomes even more complex. What's your take on that? Like, how do you handle it? Is it like very similar as a personal kind of a thing, or it's a little bit more complicated?
It's a little bit similar. The only important part is you have to make sure your business is also becoming part of the trust.
Okay.
So there are some documents that if it's a corporation, we issue stock powers, and then you have to issue stocks in the name of the trust. If it's a LLC or something, to a assignment of business interest. And you also, in your LLC document, you have to make sure the trust is the owner of that LLC. So that way, everything will be in the pool of your trust. And in case something were to happen to you suddenly, your beneficiaries, your survivors can take care of without much issues.
Yeah, and I bring that up because when I'm doing consultation, oftentimes I think these days people are familiar with estate planning in terms of, I need to transfer my home, I need to transfer my car, I need to transfer my bank account. I think people get that. But a lot of people don't understand that all these entities that you own, like I said, your C Corp, your S Corp, your LLCs, maybe depends how that LLC is structured, maybe a partnership, for example. All of those needs to be also part of your trust. If they're not part of your trust, then technically speaking, those assets can still go through probate.
Yes.
Because somebody can express their claim on them. And especially if you have partners involved, that can get really nasty pretty fast, right?
That's true. Yeah.
So think about that. Many of you guys might not have even thought about that, hey, look, I have all these entities, but did you have that conversation? And I'm bringing this up because when you go to a good estate planning attorney, these are the kind of conversations you need to have. Now, like I said, I can't ask her all the questions today, nor does she have time to answer them. But I would strongly recommend to come to the Wealth Summit. She'll be there whole day. Her staff will be there. Yeah. Ask your questions directly to her. We will also have her on our panel in the evening. So you guys know at every Wealth Summit from 6:30 to around 8 o'clock for about an hour and a half, we do a lot of giveaways. We give away a lot of prizes and we do a lot of Q&As. So if you have some great questions that can help everybody else in the community, then please directly ask her those questions as well. And if I'm not wrong, hopefully she will come up with a very special offer at the Wealth Summit. That means that leaves you with almost no reason to get your estate plan done. Now, that may sound like a little salesy to you, that, hey, I'm just trying to sell an estate plan. First of all, I'm not an attorney. That means I cannot legally collect any kind of fees from her.
That's right.
For making so there's no monetary benefit for me whatsoever here, just to be clear. The reason why I'm bringing that up is because every day you don't get your estate planning done, you're putting yourself at risk, you're putting your family at risk, which can be easily eliminated just by simply getting it done. Obviously we like Swapna ji because, we've been working together for many, many years. That's why she's at Wealth Summit. Matter of fact, she has done a couple of Wealth Summits with her. The thing about attorneys, by the way, guys, they're busy. They're super busy, and especially due to grace of President Trump, they're becoming even more busier, Anyhow, you get the point. But thank you so much, guys. Swapna ji, thank you so much for coming here. We're looking forward to seeing you at the Wealth Summit. AnthurLawGroup.com. So that's her website. That's where you can go get all her contact information if you want to get your estate plan done before the Wealth Summit. Otherwise, a month later, she'll be there. Bring your questions, write them down, think about them, and ask her. At least at the Wealth Summit, she won't charge you. But after that, everything is paid service. All right, guys. All right, Swapna ji, thank you so much. I hope, did we miss anything? Anything else you want to talk about?
I can't think of anything right now, but if there is anything further, I am there at the Wealth Summit. I'll be there whole day. If you have any questions, feel free to come to my booth, or I'll be there at the panel. Any questions, we can answer at that time.
All right, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for spending your last 15, 20 minutes with us, and I'll look forward to seeing you at the Wealth Summit.
Thank you.